I am statement, what does that feel like to you when you hear those words, I am?
Well, the bottom line of I am is that it brings us into pure presence. And the truth of us is residing very deep at the core of our being. And anything that we are claiming from that place is really moving into action the truth of our deep essence. So if we are in our core and in our heart space and coming from our deep place of wisdom, and we say, I am anything, what happens is the very cells of our being are following orders. So they align to the frequency, they align to the energy of whatever that is. So I have a tendency to be very careful and very conscious when I'm making an I am statement, because pretty much anything that you follow those two words with is a declaration of a complete identity in the world.
Oh, it's the universe is listening when you hear those words, I am, yes. And it really does. Every time I say it, it brings the whole present moment into present time, which is amazing.
Yes.
So that explains frequency, which is what you work with. You work with frequency and bioenergetics and the field outside of our bodies and the field that we're in right now. Can you tell me about how you discovered this, a little bit of your background, and what you teach people to use this frequency to do with?
So I was raised in an environment that this was the conversation. I was raised in a natural healthcare environment where bioenergetics was our life. My father was one of the founders, really, of energy medicine. He was in the foreground there in the early 70s, and so long before energy was popular to talk about, and he was actually ridiculed for discussing it and talking about it. But he developed an energy technique that is about raising the vibrational frequency of the internal system and removing anything that drops that frequency. So I grew up in that conversation, and then as I grew up and graduated from school and opened my own practice and started working with patients, I recognized that there is so much that we can do within ourselves to raise or lower our own vibrational frequencies. And so I became very, very curious about the various modalities around the world that were ancient practices and that were emerging in the course of my lifetime, and just started weaving things together that I found were helping me to anchor and embody some of the principles that I had learned to actually become that and put it to practice in my life. It took something more than just thinking about it, than just holding an intention. Those things are very, very valuable, but there was even more to that. So dropping into the core and allowing the cellular structure to feel the different vibrational frequencies that are available to us is a huge part of where we're headed.
Have you seen this conversation become more and more popular and in so many more people's living rooms these days? Isn't it exciting?
It's amazing to me.
Isn't it?
When I opened my practice about 30 years ago, I never even told people that I was working with their energy for the most part, because when I said the word energy, people thought I was only referring to having enough energy to get through the day. And that's true. If the energy is flowing through the body the way it's supposed to, we will have more energy at the end of the day than we do at the beginning of the day. And if it's not, then we begin to get exhausted and we begin to get fried and we begin to age and feel older and these types of things. But I'm thrilled that in our lifetime this is becoming common conversation, because there is such a deep truth here available to us in terms of self-healing, self-referring, abundant living, really transforming our culture, our community, and our world, and becoming highly conscious. All of that is truly based in energetics, and bioenergetics is how we embody that for ourselves.
So it starts with the field, and it can go out to others, and then it can even go out to a planetary perspective and then come back to us. But let's start with talking about our own bioenergetic field. What does it look like when we get off balance, when things get into our field that are not in alignment with our frequency? Where does that come from? How do we allow it to stick to us?
Well, there are things that come from the external environment that can influence our electromagnetic energy field. Most of the interferences in our energy field come from our own unresolved subconsciousness. Meaning, if we experience things that we don't know how to deal with, we kind of stick them in our pocket and we keep going because life is demanding and it calls us to stay in action, so we think, and we're just trying to do the best that we can do. And when we do that in that way, what ends up happening is we kind of step aside and we kind of stick things in our back pocket thinking, oh, I'll get to that later, I'll get to that when I learn how to. I don't know how to deal with this right now, but I have to keep going. That's the number one reason that things get stuck in our energy field, and it stops the flow of energy through our body. When that energy flow stops, we get sick. It decreases our vital force, it allows cellular breakdown, it creates all kinds of immune system situations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All of it is because of energy being blocked in this field. So we know that, epigenetics is teaching us that our environment is even more important than our genetic inheritance. And our environment begins with the cloud of energy that we hold around us as our unconsciousness, our subconsciousness. That is our immediate environment. And if it's filled with unresolvedness, then I'm basically polluted, and I'm walking around in an environment that is polluted, and so my system is going to suffer because of that.
Mm-hmm. And so that's very interesting, because I was thinking, it comes from outside of us, but it doesn't. It really starts with, is this true that it starts with inside of us and then the other energies outside match that frequency that's unresolved?
Truly, when we are emitting an energy essence, an energy field because of our own unresolvedness, for instance, then we attract vibrational frequencies that are a match to that. So our life experiences end up matching or reflecting to us what's going on or what's not going on in this inner world. So the more we can clean up the inner world, then the more that we will emit an energy field that's a higher vibrational frequency, and we'll attract circumstances into our life that are a vibrational match to that. So that's really where the law of attraction and those types of things are coming from. And I would really love for people to understand that it isn't that we're an empty vessel, that we have to attract great things into our life. We're full. The question is, how much of our fullness are we allowing to express outwardly? And that's being reflected back to us based upon on what we're radiating, what we're emanating as, what our resonance is, what our vibrational frequency is. It creates the world that we live in for us.
So when someone is in this place of experiencing sickness or experiencing illness, is it ever too late, Sue, to do something about it? Are you ever too old? Are you ever too sick?
Oh my gosh. I have 94-year-old patients that tell me they feel younger than they've felt in 40 years.
Really?
Yeah, it's amazing to me. I'm not in private practice any longer, but I remember a few years ago when a 94-year-old person said this to me, and it just reaffirmed what I'd been seeing all these years, and that is that it is instantaneous that transformation can occur. The subconscious doesn't know anything about time. It doesn't know anything about what's possible, what's going to happen tomorrow. It only knows what is happening in this moment, and it responds to that. So the universe, the whole world, the physical world responds accordingly, the same way. So when we shift gears, instantly the energy field changes. Now the physical tissues take a little while to regenerate and rejuvenate in accordance with this new template that's being created, because we have finally forgiven something, or we have finally come to terms with our greatness in some way that we didn't know about it before, and we have finally come online in a way that we get more of the truth of the whole picture of why we're here on the planet, and these types of things. So that template can change in an instant. The physical tissues take a little bit longer sometimes, but not always. So I will say it can be instantaneous. That's the miraculous healing that we see and that we know is a very real thing, and science is actually giving us some explanations as to how that is true. But I will also say that not only can it be instantaneously, but it is never too late. No way. There is an entirely different reality that we are dealing with, especially if we are stepping into the deep truth of the I am that we're speaking of. It's not a world of relativity. The I am world is a world of absolute, meaning I am who I am regardless of what's happening in this external environment. And if I can come to know that, then I am the diffuser of anything that's coming toward me that is of a dissonant energy. I resonate with an energy that can neutralize anything when I am truly integrated and connected at the deep core presence of my own being. So Never too late.
Never too late, and you can, and you choose consciously to emanate this energy. This is a conscious moment that you have constantly. This is who you are, is this awakening of who you are. Explain that to me. How do you constantly have this amazing amount of energy and exuberance?
It's because of this I am. The I am is a stream of ever replenishing, rejuvenating, it's kind of fountain of youthish, okay? It's this ever replenishing stream of energy that is truly running through the physical human system constantly. It comes in from above your head, it goes down through your body, goes into the earth, rises back up from the earth, comes back up through the body, out the top of the head, and recycles around, coming in at the root of the spine, back and around again, constantly being replenished and constantly being utilized. Now this is measurable, it's completely scientific and understood. It forms this torus shape of energy around the human system. And it is our responsibility ultimately, but it's our opportunity to, at the very least, to discover this, to find this within ourselves. And it's not by looking outward for the solutions in our life. It's about coming, reclaiming our resources, bringing our faculties back into the inner realm and sensing and feeling and trusting. You know, there are billions of bits of information that are bombarding us every millisecond.
Right.
And we are at choice to respond to them. Only a few of those bits of information can come up to the conscious mind in a given moment. The rest of them report to our deep gut center. And so if we're teaching ourselves to listen to our gut core, then we are in constant receptivity to this ever-changing flow of information and energy. It's all the same thing, energy and information. So I'm not consciously concentrating on being energetic. I'm aware of what it feels like to be dropped deep into that central core place. And from that place, I'm in constant receptivity of this energy flow. So I'm not using my own energy. I'm borrowing it from the universe and returning it.
Got it. No, got it. When you come in contact with people, do you feel or pick up on what's going on with their bodies?
Yes, instantly.